This week we'll be looking at Ghiberti's Gates of Paradise, which are the doors on the baptistry of San Giovanni in Florence. And Ghiberti's were done in high relief, meaning that one side of the panel was very three-dimensional and the other side was flat. And Ghiberti wanted his to have a lot of perspective, meaning it looked like some parts were really close to us, some parts were far away. And this is what relief is, when one side of a sculpture is flat like a panel and the other side is three-dimensional. So we're going to be doing the same idea here on a panel like this, where part of it sticks out and is high up, and some parts of it are kind of carved behind it for a little bit of a lower relief. We're trying to mimic that same idea of different levels happening on our panel. In order to do this, you will find some images of different cross shapes in the lesson plan. So you can see that some are more complicated, some are a little bit simpler. So choose the images that you think are best for your class. When you print them out, you're going to see that each has an outline, and this is exactly 5 by 7. So if you cut them out on the lines, then you will have the exact shape of paper to glue onto this 5 by 7 cardboard panel. You're going to have those already done, and you're going to bring them into class, and each student gets one of these images with the outline on it. You then take your wiki sticks, which are these nice waxy sticky sticks, and the students begin to press and adhere them along the outline. So I've already done a lot of this, but I'll show you how easy it is to press and adhere this. You push it with your fingers and it just immediately sticks. Even when I come to a more complicated shape like a corner, I simply hold my finger there, pull up and stick it down, and it stays exactly where I had it. So even the younger students can do a little bit more of a complicated cross shape if you chose to do that, because these little sticks are so nice and bendy and they stay exactly where you push them. Now that I have the outline done and it's nice and stuck there, then I'm going to add a little bit of glue. And this is optional. The wiki sticks are nice and sticky, so you could put the foil right on this point and it would stick pretty well. But if you wanted to have it stick even just a little bit better, you could have a parent do an outline of glue on the cardboard around the wiki sticks. And the students could take a Q-tip and just kind of rub that around. And this way there's even more surface area for that foil to stick to. Whether you use extra glue or not, the foil will stay in place for the most part. So now I have that done. You're going to have these pre-cut out pieces of foil. It doesn't matter which side you use. One side is a little bit shinier, one's a little bit duller. Either way, it's fine. The students will lay that on the middle, but don't press it down quite yet. We want to start in the middle of the cross and begin from the center, pressing inside of this. That way we can really get it stuck in the corners and it won't tear as easily. If we start on the outside, that's going to create a lot of tension pulling this way, and then when we push on the inside, it would create a lot of holes. So we're going to start on the interior, and using our fingers, just press along the inside like that. You can also use a nice, unused, not gluey Q-tip, and go along the interior and use that to help define these edges a little bit more too. This is optional, but it does get a little bit of a crisper line along the wiki sticks. Once you have the inside done, you can do the outside along the outer edge of the wiki stick. Again, start with your finger. If the students are frustrated by the foil tearing, that's just part of this process. You can have extra foil on hand, but no matter how many times I've done this, even my foil will tear sometimes. And so we're gonna have to just deal with that and tell your students ahead of time that that might be something that they're gonna have to just have happen. And again, you can take your Q-tip and give it a nice clean edge along the outside of that image. This is especially where it tears, where we're pushing down on these tensioned areas on the foil. So the more patient you are, the slower you go, the more likely it will stay intact. We have that done. And now the students or the parents can help push on these outer edges. And you're simply going to wrap the foil along this outside edge of your 5x7 cardboard piece. And if your foil's too big, this gets a little bit lumpy and stuff, so it's a lot easier to have foil that's just maybe a 1/2 inch or an inch bigger on the edges, so you don't have a ton of foil trying to be pushed on the back. So we have this higher area of relief happening, and now we're going to do some lower details. You can either use a pencil that's really nice and dull. Anything sharp is going to push and tear the foil. Or you can use some sort of little wooden stick like this that has a dull tip on it, and that will also be good for it. In a few weeks when we do Dur and we do the prints, then this stick is also useful for that project. So don't throw them away. If you buy something like this, hold on to them and you will definitely use them again. I'm going to just go ahead and use a dull pencil. And I'm going to go in and begin to do some sort of designs. I simply press in and I can start doing any sorts of lines, shapes, circles. Again, right, we use the oils for everything we do, so you can talk about different shapes to do. If you want to give your students inspiration, then in the last page of the lesson plan, there's some images of crosses with designs, and you can have these on the tables, and students can get some ideas about how to begin designing the interior of the cross. So I would go through and do whatever sort of design I want to in my image, just like that. And then once that's done, you can use some sort of black item. So you can either use black shoe polish or black tempera paint, and we're going to do a layer on top of this to help those designs and those different levels show up a little bit more. If you want to use the black shoe polish, you would simply take something like this and then rub around, and this gives a really cool antique look to it. And with this is the only step. You rub the shoe polish on and you let it dry and it's done. And it kind of helps fill in all these little lower areas and helps them stand out a little bit. Another option is to take black tempera paint, which you probably already have on hand from other art projects, and to do a really, really light layer of black tempera paint just along the cross. It wants to be very light because if you do it lightly, it will dry in about half an hour. If you do it really heavy, it will take an hour or two. But if you do this after your new grammar, you let it dry for half an hour, and you do your presentations, then right after presentation, you can go back after the paint is dry, and you will have something like this. I've already wiped off the bottom area, but you will have the dried black tempera paint. You'll be able just to take a napkin or a paper towel, and it rubs right off really easily, and the kids can all do this themselves. But you have the paint that's been stuck into these lower lines, just like that. So it's very, very simple. It's just a little bit more time because you do have to wait for it to dry and do another portion of your CC day and then come back to this. But I think the result is really nice as well because you get nice dark outlines on your piece just like that.